All right, so hi everyone. Thanks for checking out the fourth video in our prospecting series. We were going to quickly look at the key success and failure factors behind email prospecting. All right, so if we were to sum up the most important factors for success in your outbound approach, they would be, first, avoid the spam filter by not coming off as automated. Segment who you send to so you can better target. And of course, construct an enticing email. All right, so let's dig a bit deeper into these 3 points. As a prospector whose bread and butter is basically email, the last thing that you want to do is have your email end up in the spam folder or in the promotion tab if you're using Google. Now, there are algorithms that are used to detect what's considered spam or not, and they use a variety of criteria that are basically going to give your email a spam score. And above a certain threshold, your email will be classed as spam. Now, one of the key sort of factors that's going to class your email as spam or not is how automated it comes off as. And even if your prospect does end up reading your email, obviously robotic sounding messages, they're just going to turn them off. You're going to get poor response rates. That's going to force you to increase the number of people you send emails to, ratchet up your volume, which is, kind of the last thing you want to do. So how do you end up avoiding getting in the spam folder? A lot of this is going to have to do with the technical infrastructure of your email. So let's take a look at this example. It was sent to our co-founder in French, but you do see a lot of these kinds of things in the US or the UK as well. We can see that first off, it's a generic email sent by a generic sender, in this case, Performance Academy. Now, the first problem here, obviously, is that, we've all heard this before, people buy from other people. We respond to people. We don't buy from brands or companies. So just seeing this alone as the sender is going to deter quite a few prospects from even opening the email. And then we have this right here highlighted in red, the via i53oxydaddy.net. Now this is a typical mailing server. And for anti-spam software, these kinds of mailing servers are very easily detected and flagged as spam or as promotional. So you definitely want to avoid using them and stick as much as possible to sending sales email from your prospectors' actual inboxes and email addresses. Now, this does mean avoiding using mass mailing servers like MailChimp or Marketo or even your CRM. And again, these are great tools, but that should be used to send out newsletters or nurturing campaigns, not one-to-one sales emails. Now, you also don't want to use a technology that's going to send a whole bunch of emails out at the same time. You're going to want to space them out in a more natural way because sending a whole bunch of emails at the same time all the time can also trigger anti-spam detectors. So similarly, even if you are sending from your own inbox, you don't want to use the same scenario or workflow for more than, let's say, 300 or 400 prospects max. Again, this is going to start drawing unwanted attention to you from anti-spam monitors. So basically, all in all, you want to choose a technology that's going to mimic as much as possible what a human would send as an email. In terms of the body of the email itself, you want to try and avoid using images and limit the number of links you use. Again, except in the signature, and we do have a video dedicated to this, where we do often find a photo or a link back to the homepage. And anti-spam detectors are usually able to tell the difference between a signature and the body of the email. Finally, and this might sound obvious, but you do 100% really need to have a stop on response function, which basically means if you're sending a whole long workflow and your prospect responds, you obviously don't want them to keep receiving emails. Your technology needs to be intelligent enough to know to stop the workflow when they've responded. Now, the second sort of key success factor we mentioned earlier was segmentation. One way to sort of segment in an intelligent, easy way, and by this, obviously, you stay hyper relevant to your prospect, is by using some kind of easily accessible context. So, for example, if your prospect downloaded a piece of content, like a white paper or a video, can construct a whole scenario around this, assuming that they're interested in that topic they download the content from. If they're part of the same group or community as you are, if they've been an exhibitor at a salon or a trade show, if they've used a certain technology or they work with a certain provider, if they have a very sort of particular job title or post within the company. Now, again, you want to have a set routine for your prospectors to make sure that they engage a few prospects every day. That's going to be determined sort of by what your targets are, what your sales objectives are. But for us, we spend, let's say, around 15 minutes to half an hour a day, usually in the morning, choosing these promising leads from various sources. All right. Now, the third success factor, obviously, is going to be the actual message that you send. We do go into detail on this topic elsewhere at length, so we won't spend too much time on this now. But a few quick tips to keep in mind. Do spend a lot of your time on the subject line. You're going to want to personalize it, keep it short. Avoid being deceptive, but at the same time, try and pique your prospect's interest in one way or another. Keep using personalization variables in the body of the email, things like first name, job title, company name, things like this. Only ever use one call to action per email. You really don't want to give your prospect any sort of way out of having a conversation, or you don't want to distract them with asking them to do too many different things at once. And finally, you want to always have a good story in your email, a good way to sort of begin building a relationship with the prospect and getting the prospect to sort of trust you and respect you. Now, as you might imagine, the first email in a scenario is definitely the most important. If a prospect opens your email and doesn't like what they see, it's going to be very hard to get them back, and you can never really make a second good first impression. So naturally, you're going to want to spend the most time on this first email, and up here on the screen is just sort of a generic way to start a first email. They should all more or less look like this, just as a guideline for you. And we do have, like I said, a lot of other videos out about how to construct particular workflows for particular situations. I'm thinking of the aloha tone, for example, or the cliffhanger technique. So don't hesitate to check those out if you're looking for some sources of inspiration. And that's it. So again, avoid spam filters by mimicking human emailing behavior. Segment your audience using relevant context, and construct an enticing message. So hope that was clear and succinct for you. And next week, we're going to be looking at how to construct scenarios according to the consultative approach. So I hope to see you then.